Hey everyone. Work is pretty slow, so I thought, why not do some more poetry? This one is for all you stoners out there. I've selected a handful of poems that are all about being in your head, having fun adventures, good times, stuff like that. I hope you enjoy it. First off, I want to introduce you to my friend, the Fuzzslug. I took a trip to the forest where I met the Fuzzslug. Got a body like a snail with fur like a rug. Not big enough to ride, but they're big enough to hug. I found him munching on mushrooms and shrubs. I step up slowly. Eye stalk starts tracking. I'm sorry, Fuzzslug, if I stopped your snacking. I'm a wayward soul, and I'm trying to find a way to freshen up this moldy mind. Fuzz starts to buzz, Slug starts to slither. In the swishing of the fur, I start to hear a whisper. It's not where you're going, and it's not where you're from. It's not what you plan, and it's not what you've done. It's a slice in between. That's all that you've got, because life is a dream, whether you like it or not. In a puff of smoke and a slow-mo flash, Fuzzslug lit up into a pile of ash. I watched it drift up and before my eyes, the vapor rearranged into starry skies. Amazed by constellations for a couple of hours, then I laid my head to rest in a bundle of flowers. Woke up under covers in my bed in my room. Thanks, Fuzzslug. I'll be back again soon. I like those little storytelling kind of poems. I think it'd be fun to write a whole book in that style. Next up is a little introspection about the process of storing our thoughts. I call it where we think from. Before the thought manifests within the confines of your brain, does it exist in another form out on some astral plane? Does it come from there to visit, to take roost behind your eyes, or is it made from your gray matter, wholly synthesized? When someone thinks it first, do you borrow it from them? Are they broadcasting energy on a channel you tune in? Or what about when a crowd has the same thought all at once, like giving an ovation or chuckling at a dunce? Does each mind take charge of its own internal calibration, or do we lean on each other as a social collaboration? And if I have a thought that I write down into a poem, and then I paint it on a canvas and I hang it in my home, and visitors read it silently as they pass it by, who holds the thought? The painting, the guest, or I? On the topic of thoughts, I've been doing some thinking recently about emotions and socialization and how that all kind of works for me, and I came up with something I wanted to share with you. This is a little personal, but I hope you enjoy it. Growing up, I wasn't ever totally sure if feelings should come out or stay secure. I'd try it one way and I'd get left out, try it the other and I'd hear the shouts. I dropped a lot of thought into understanding rules, and it seemed like they'd change depending on whose house I'm in or which church I'm near, and whether the adults were close enough to hear. All I really wanted was some friends and food, so I learned to watch the others and copycat the mood. And that worked for a while. I learned to have some grace, but now I find my smile starts on another's face. Emotions analyzed in the space behind my eyes, bundled into a pile of truths, insights, and lies. They become less like a tide and more like a list, documentation for why it feels like this. Alright friends, this is where you come in. I'm nervous in a group because I'm busy tuning in, hoping to find the right vibe for the night, in the flavor of your words, and time my smile right. I know it sounds rough, yeah, and it causes me stress, but this overactive system is what works for me best. As I learn how it works, it seems plain as day that when I'm with my friends, I'm engaged in trade. And I'm not talking profits, it's a social transaction, an exchange of information based on our interaction. If you can show me the places where the feelings ought to go, I can tell you how they start and I can show you how they grow. If you can start a smile, I bet I can make it wider in a ratio with the distance in between us as divider. But if we need to take a turn towards fears and tears, no worries here, friend. I'm not afraid to face the weird. I'll be right here and we can have a chat about the knots and I can illuminate some ins and outs, and then when we go out you let me lean on you. Show me how you groove so I can try it on too. Let me borrow your mind when I'm trying to fit in. I promise I'll apply my own style of spin. Please don't mind the imitation, just take it as some flattery, and when you're feeling low, let me help you charge your battery. Yeah. Okay, next up, let's lighten it up a little bit with something really fun. This is my stoner adventure to a very famous video game, Kingdom. I went to the kingdom looking for a treat. A toad offered up some reds to eat. At twice his height, I felt big enough. Asked if he had some of the stranger stuff. He offered some greens pressed into a moon. I said, I'm not looking to kick the bucket too soon, and I'm playing on hardcore with no continue. Maybe I'm searching in the wrong kind of venue. He closed the door, he twisted the lock, said, "I got the stock, just hit the block." Question mark boxing, prize inside. Something pops out, eyes go wide. We passed it back and forth for a bit under an hour while we spit hot fire straight off the flower. Yeah, I can't say what that's from, but I think you all get it. All right. Lastly, I have one called A Quick History of Cannabis. Hopefully this is all pretty familiar stuff to most of you, but you never know. Before we learned to write with more permanent marks, we were growing bud and plucking it and lighting it with sparks. In the dark, in the day, we were puffing on the grasses. We planted it and planned to get lit off our asses. Then 5,000 years passed, maybe even more than that, and some bastard plans were hatched by some scumbags. Puritanical panic made popular by headlines, written by a paper pushy clenching on his dimes. See, hemp is fucking great. We've known it from the start. You can make it into paper and you can smoke it and make art. These two peculiar properties earned it a spot upon a blacklist by a bootlegging billionaire and a floundering fascist. They started a campaign to say the devil grew the lettuce, then used it to excuse the violence they relied upon to upset us. They arrested activists and planted bugs on innocents, then swelled the jails and built an empire on pot convictions. They even changed the name to add some spice to the drama. Instead of cannabis and hemp, try Mexican marijuana. They blamed it on the immigrants. They say it makes them crazy, with stories of rampages and lives wasted high and lazy. They handed out life sentences for a little bit of shrubbery and acted like they saved the day with state-coordinated thuggery. It took 13 years to kick the liquor prohibition. It's taken 4 generations to reconsider pot's position. The hippies knew the truth. They kept the culture going, and now we're wising up and finding science in the growing. The tide for change is rising, and isn't it surprising how the folks who fought the smoke now toke a pen for their arthritis? I'd say it's all behind us, but we should not forget. There's a lot of people still sitting behind bars for getting lit. We aren't helping anybody by keeping stoners locked away, and it'll take more than just a pot store to call it a better day. We need to end the laws that let the racists and the rich get away with slavery, and we need to do it quick. Then we need to take a look at the neighborhoods they raided and invest in the communities that we let them devastate. We need to let the lab rats find out what's going on when grandma's cancer stays at bay because she hits a bong. And we need to teach our kids that pills and bottles are a joke when their friends and them could be filling dorm rooms with some smoke. We've got it, we should learn from it, and it hurts us to deny it. So roll one up and burn a bit and help a newbie try it. All right. Last one is for the heavier minds out there. It's about a very transformative experience I had. Some of you know this story. Some of you, hopefully it's the first time. This is called A Little Something Different. Let's see. Depression had my mind feeling dry. I'd still get up every day, but I didn't know why. I didn't want to die. I just didn't really want to wake up. And I had a hard time justifying the space that I take up. Life began to break up and rearrange in pieces, and I thought it was the end until I heard a strange thesis. Minds don't die, they just get stuck in a gear, glued in by comfort and cemented by fear. So I took a little chance and tried a little something different, and in one night I came up with an entirely new sentiment. My mind was alive, not just surviving, but resplendent, not confined to the boundaries on which I'd become dependent. In the darkness of the night, under the sliver of a moon, I walked around the palace of my mind in full bloom. I found doors in front of memories, windows to my dreams, and the mechanics of my psyche splayed out across the screens. I saw some disrepair. I had to navigate some scar tissue. Sometimes it's the mending, not the cut, that's the issue. I saw the pit around me that will never really get filled, but I can still reach paradise if I'm not afraid to build. Sometimes I'm building ladders, and sometimes I'm building nets so that when I fall, I'm not impelled upon my bitter regrets. I just climb back up so I can try to reach a little higher, because I want to ascend and soak in some starfire. I let sun dance on my skin when I emerge from the earth, to stand proud in this world without questioning my worth. I am going to rise up and bask in the glory of a sunset. It might take me a bit, but I promise I'm not done yet. Whew, that one definitely brings me back. Thank you so much if you tuned into my poetry today. This is something I'm really trying to do more of. I really like this. I really like sharing it. And I hope to find the people who enjoy listening. So if that's you, thanks for being here. I'll catch you again soon.